your number one hype gal here, and welcome to the weekly warm-up, your weekly dose to feel a little more confident and a lot more human. I'm Jess McDowell, and each week I'll share life updates, mindset shifts, product faves, the little things that help me stay grounded, energized, and moving and grooving. Whether you're heading out for a jog, sipping your morning coffee, or just need a midweek pick-me-up, this is your warm-up for living a real balanced life. So take a breath, shake it out, and let's dive in. Welcome back to the weekly warm-up podcast. I am super duper pumped. I'm in a fantastic mood, to say the least. And there's so many exciting things I want to talk about today right off the bat. I hope everyone had a lovely Easter. I hope everyone had a lovely pink moon, the lunar moon. Hope that's going well for everyone. And let's dive in. I want to toot my own horn today, toot toot, because I actually went out and did something fully for myself that I haven't done in a hot minute. And that is just throwing on some makeup, a cute set, this Fabletics set that actually just came out. It's another drop with Khloe Kardashian. I'll stand up in a second, but put a little makeup on, put my hair up in a little fun pony, got a cute outfit on, and I went out and about and did some errands, but then I also went out and about and did some shopping. I just needed that type of day. I have been moving and grooving for several months. Obviously, I have made a massive career transition for the best by becoming my own boss, my own entrepreneur that I've essentially have been doing part-time for a long time now, and have just put my goals and what I want and what I vision for myself in the forefront. And when that happens, you tend to have laser focus beams straight ahead. You don't know what day it is. You don't know what week it is. And you realize you need a day. You need today. Go do something you haven't done in a while. And that was shopping. I bought some new stuff for my place. I switched out my duvet cover. I switched out my sheets and my bedding. I bought some new artwork. I bought some new knickknacks. I got a candle. I just treated myself, and I'm absolutely obsessed with everything that I got because it really does upgrade my place. That's one of them right there, but I haven't hung everything and done that yet because I wanted to get the pot in, and I figured that would be a fun little evening wind down to do. But it just made me realize how fast time goes by. And that is such a cliche thing to say because obviously we all know that. But wow, I literally blinked and it was January. It is now April, middle of April. I essentially believe that every person today is working in some type of job or is doing something with their family, friends, personal, whatever it is, where you're having to think 10 steps ahead, i.e., months and months ahead. And when that happens, obviously we're not focused on the present, but then that's how we allow ourselves to have that tunnel vision and that laser beam vision of just always looking forward. What's next? What's next? What's this? What's that? And forgetting about what's happening around you. And let me say something. I am preaching to the choir when I talk about this, but I think today just really allowed me to get back some of my endorphins that I missed doing. I love decorating. I love being a woman. I love upgrading my space and making it feel homey and like me. I haven't done that in a hot minute, truly. And it has nothing to do with a career change. Just in general, I've not felt that spark. And today I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I even had pictures because there's these cute pictures of Welker at the beach that I've been wanting to print out. I even was talking to my mom when she was here last, showing her them and saying how I want to print them out. I want to put them there or get some picture frames. But I even went as far as to get them printed at Walgreens and pick them up. I don't know. Sorry, that's not in my wheelhouse usually. So long story short, I am just actually feeling like really, really good about myself and not really good about myself. I'm feeling very whole, and I'm feeling like, okay, like I had a great day. I am going to just conquer the rest of it, and let's record the podcast on this note. So if you haven't had a day like this, go do it. And make sure it's something that you haven't done in a hot minute. Doing something that you have not done that is a fun task that you like to do. Like me going shopping and just revamping my place a little bit. We always love that. And spring is my favorite season. So I'm not surprised as to why I did this because I love it. Actually, you know what? Hold up. I had a meeting for something about that. And it was talking about just when you're in a career transition in general, or you're transitioning in life with a different chapter, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be career, because we're all going through something in life where there's some sort of transition into a new chapter. You're shedding the old, you're bringing in the new. And one thing that I've noticed is when you start to rely solely on yourself for your income through all the different outlets that you do things, that can become terrifying. And I have done that before when I owned my own personal training business, but I've been in a position for about 3 years where I was making steady income. And then, of course, I made my subsidized income on the side with all that stuff that I do, which was part time that I always wanted to do full time. I think for me, it was a realization of, okay, like you're actually going to do this. You know, you can do it. You know, it's going to take a little time to get to where you need to be. You know that you're going to have to invest in yourself. You know that you're going to have to, thank God, have savings and things like that. And obviously, I'm very, very thankful for that. But also, you're going to have to start thinking about a new routine, a new way of living, a new way of making sure that you're still fulfilling yourself and filling your cup up when it comes to like let's say I don't have to be out of the house all the time. Now, when I have meetings and things like that, a lot of them are online, but there are more times where I can be home now, which is great. I actually love that because I can be with Welker. I can do fun things around the house, zhuzh it up a bit. You know what I mean? Get creative with content, and I have time for things like that. But then also, too, your life changes where you're not always around a ton of people all the time, even though I'm always around people just because of the career I'm in, but it's different. So it is not only about the career change in itself or the life change that you're doing and that pivot and starting a new chapter. Really interesting in how the body adapts to that and how the body processes change. I will say at first it was a little, I've always been good with change just because my entire life I'm moving and grooving. I've moved and lived everywhere, truly everywhere. And not just because of like from college and out of college, but before. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Vero Beach, Florida, but I have family in Canada and I've bebopped around there. And then obviously, I went to Alabama and I bebopped after that. So it's not about the change aspect, it's just rerouting your brain. And it's really interesting how your brain adapts to certain things and how you can go from literally being one norm to then have a whole new norm. And within like a month's time, it's like the old never even happened. To me, that is so wild. I think it is wild. I think our brain is the coolest thing in the entire world. And I love how it just allows us to adapt and to grow and to take what we did have there or what we had in that chapter and utilize it for what you are being presented with in your current chapter. And then also the lessons that you learned and areas that you need to improve on and so forth and put on. Think about your entire life and how it's led you up to where you are today. And all those times that you had major life changes or transitions, when you look back at it, it's crazy how it really needed to happen and how it made you a better person, how it now is bringing you into the light where you're surrounded by so many different people and people that see your potential. It's really, really cool. So I don't know. Let whatever is happening in your life, in the transitions that you're having, in the different chapters that you're going through, let them happen. And I know it's easier said than done, but you will be so surprised at the end how it works out, but also how you will become such a better person for it, a healthier person, a happier person, and that it's all temporary. You know what I mean? It's all temporary. You're going to feel the wave of uncertainty, sometimes anxiety of, okay, well, how am I going to take care of myself? Thinking more or less like, okay, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? And it's like, you don't need to just, well, no, you need to pay your bills. You don't need to. Don't pay your bills. Who pays their bills? No, I'm saying the immediate rush of feeling like you have to like do A, B, C, D. You don't. Just breathe in, breathe out, and let it go. And it will all come into play. And let me say something. I have never in my lifetime been more grateful and thankful for the people around me. Holy cowboy. Experiences that I'm being asked to do and the opportunities that I'm being asked to do. If it weren't for community, also positioning myself right from the start when I moved to Miami, until today. I always have 5-year plans, okay? I always knew that I was going to be in this route, and I always knew that I was going to fight my way to the top. And to see that now it's starting to happen, but because of the fact that I've networked and that I've treated people well, and that I don't go into gossip and I don't get involved with things like that. I show up for people when it's necessary. I give back when I can. There's so much more about being part of a community than just doing the bare minimum. Because I don't want to say what that would be because I'm not calling anybody out. But what I'm saying is I'm so proud of myself and thankful that I started doing that. And I knew I was doing that for a particular reason. I would be in the I don't want to say public eye, but like I wanted to be more known in Miami and do events, build up the running community and be well known in the running community. Always just remember how you treat people. That's it. Anyone that's watching this that has been along the journey with me from day one or has been along the journey with me recently, wherever you may be in my world, I cannot thank you enough. And I don't want to start crying. I cannot thank you enough for supporting me, for being there for me, for being genuine, for being honest, for being just damn good people. Thank you so much because that is very rare these days. And I do have a problem trusting people. I think we all have that somewhere in our body, our bones in our body, just because of the life that is. But thank you so much. And I hope to continue to just give back to community, make people feel like they can do anything, that they're strong, they're capable, they're healthy, they're worthy. I mean, I'm going to be moving and grooving with y'all until my wheels fall off. So there is a lot more of me to go around. Wow. That was very, very, very winded, but it needed to be said. Love you guys so much. We're going to get to our first topic, which is called the second mountain. And I didn't plan that. I actually didn't plan what I was going to say at the beginning of the episode. I just knew I was going to let myself word vomit. And I think I succeeded at that. And so for the first topic being the second mountain, I thought it was ideal because we're talking about the post race hangover. I know we are in full effect with race season coming up, and there's a lot of different things happening. I mean, I've already done 4 half marathons in 2 months. I'm a half marathon girl all day. I love marathons, but like, I'm just the type of person where it's like, I want pound out. That's what he said. I want to bang out. No, golly. I want to do as many half marathons back to back as possible just to test my strength, my endurance, my ability, my mental side. And I love it. I crave it. It's so much fun. And then, of course, dabble in with some 5Ks in between or, some 10Ks just for that speed work. But yeah, I know what the post race hangover feels like. And it's not fun, which is probably why you go back and you just sign up for another one. Literally, which one was it? I don't even remember which one it was, but I remember laying in bed and I want to say it was the same day as race day. And I was relaxing, I was resting, and I started to feel this anxiety of like, well, now what? What's next? We got to do something. What's next? And I knew that there were other races coming up, but I almost felt like, well, no, I want to do one now. Like I want to do one next week. I don't want to wait. And I got on my laptop and just started searching for races within like the vicinity because I knew with everything that I have going on with different events and stuff that I can't go far right now. And I can't take a trip to a race with my schedule, but I could drive, a distance, or I could do something within the area. And I'm looking and there's really not anything coming up besides the ones that I'm already signed up for. And I finally came to and was like, what are you doing? This isn't necessary. You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. Let it go. You have post-race PTSD, post-race hangover, and that's it. Sleep it off. You'll feel fine the next day. Well, hence why I'm wanting to talk about it, because I believe that there are going to be a handful of you that are feeling that. And this doesn't just have to be for marathons and half marathons. This could be for ultras, this could be for those 40 and 100 milers. This could be for high rocks, any type of high energy, high stimulating, high emotion, physical competition. There's going to be this plummet of emotion when it is over that not a lot of people really talk about, and it's hard to describe unless you've experienced it. So I figured I'd write out a little scenario so those that don't understand it can try to grasp it. And then for those that do understand it, will be like, oh, yeah, yeah. So I said, here's the story. I want to start today by describing a scene I know many of you have lived. It's Tuesday morning, 3 days ago, you crossed the finish line on your A race. You've got the medal on the nightstand, your legs are finally stopping their constant throb, and you wake up and feel absolutely nothing. No drive, no spark, just a heavy, hollow, now what? This is the post race blues, but it's actually a symptom of something deeper. You've summited the first mountain, which is the goal, and you haven't realized that there's a second mountain waiting for you. All right. So that's how I started it. And then that's when I wanted to talk about the psychology of the high performing identity, because I always talk about psychology or in general high performing women, but this can go for women and men. But as high performing women, we're often conditional athletes. And when I say conditional, that means that we feel like athletes only when we have something to train for or that we have something planned ahead. And it has to be on the schedule, on the calendar that we're looking at, you know? And if there's no block, if there's nothing that we within, I would say for something like this, weeks to a couple months, we're not talking half a year to a year, but weeks to couple months. And we feel like we're not doing enough if we don't have something scheduled, especially if you are an endurance athlete, especially if you are craving races, if you're craving that next PR, you're craving that next challenge. You have that just runner's high where you're just constantly like, I don't want to come down. I don't want to come down. Well, that's that. And that first mountain mindset is the best. It's euphoric, right? Because it's binary and you're either in the training process and you are laser focused, like I just talked about, and you have your weeks planned out, you have your training schedule planned out, then you have your life and your things in between. So basically, you don't have time to think about the other side. Exactly. And when the race is over, that external validation kind of disappears. And you're just sitting there with a medal and a t-shirt and of course your accomplishment, but there's an identity crisis. That's how I feel, truthfully. I think about it right now, how this is going to be my last race coming up this Sunday. And well, for now, I mean, I know I'll sign up for one, but I'm giving myself a month to not have a race because my body needs it and I need it. And it's a little nerve wracking. It's a little nerve wracking. I'm nervous because obviously I'm going to continue to train. I mean, this is my career. Obviously, I'm going to be running with my run clubs and events and with my clients and running and training with others and everything. So I'm not stopping running. I just don't have something, I don't want to say quote unquote, to look forward to as far as a race goes, but it's like putting as a person that's in this as a career, it's almost like that competitive side of having to show your works. What is it? Your work's worth. Is that right? How do you say it? Showing forth your work, I guess. Yeah. Showing forth your work. And it is all based off of me just wanting to be competitive with myself and my numbers. But yeah, so we hit an identity crisis. I would love to think that as of right now, most of you are shaking your head yes and being like, oh my gosh, yes. And we don't talk about it enough because we don't. We always just talk about the high. We talk about the race, we talk about the planning, the training, what you're doing differently, gear that you got, gear that you switched up, your fueling, your nutrition. But no one talks about how you're in bed for the next couple days, just kind of sad, understanding or not understanding what's going on, or feeling low, feeling empty, not sure really what to say, really wanting to do a race, but your body knows that you need to take a break. So the moral of the story is that we need to talk about why we tie our self-worth to a race clock and how that actually limits our long-term potential. If your why is, we are here today to do it together, we're going to build the second mountain. We're going to build the purpose after the first mountain. After we climbed up that mountain, we're going to build that second mountain. The second mountain isn't about PR. Remember this, it's about endurance identity. And when I say endurance identity, it's the shift from output to evolution. And this is what I wrote down. This is the season where you ask, what does my body need that a 16-week marathon block couldn't give it? Maybe it's explosive strength, maybe it's lateral mobility, or maybe it's just the mental space to run without a GPS. Did your heart start racing when I said that? For me, it was running without a GPS. No, thank you. I could get away with, putting away a 16-week training block. I couldn't get away with putting away a 6 to 12-week training block, but the idea of not having a GPS on you when you're running is pure anxiety. My chest is thumping right now. I can't even imagine it. The explosive strength, lateral mobility. I mean, we should be including that in no matter what. I mean, we should always have the 5 fitness in our routine. Resistance, endurance, mobility, balance, and agility. But if you're like me, or if you thought that the run without the GPS just like made you fly through the sky, right there with you. So I said the second mountain is where you become a lifelong athlete, where you're going to discuss how to set process goals like mastering a lifting technique or improving your sleep hygiene that keep the fire burning without the pressure of a finish line. And why I wanted to go there was that when, for instance, I was talking to my PT the other day, Sarah, shout out Force Physical Therapy, literally yesterday. And I was, oh no, 2 days ago. And I was saying to her how, I'm really excited because after this race, aside from all the other running that I'll be doing, because it's my career, I'm looking forward to focusing on strengthening back my glutes, getting my hips in line, really working on the deep core. I have a strong core, but I need to focus more on that deep core and just getting my biomechanics right again. When you get on a running streak, you tend to overcompensate no matter what. I strength train every week, multiple times a week. But if you are running a certain amount of miles every week, and on top of that, doing, like I said, it being part of my career, running for my run clubs, running for my events, running for races, running for training, it's going to overcompensate for what you're doing for your strength. And especially when you're having to eat a ton and then you're feeling like you can't catch up when you're eating, because truthfully, when you're burning so many calories, sometimes it can be really hard, really, really hard to stuff a ton of food down you because your body's consistently metabolizing it. And let me say something before a Sally Cream Cheese says, oh my gosh, that must be so hard for you that your body metabolizes that and you can eat it whatever you want. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. One, I'm saying when you're burning a certain amount of calories a day, you are having to obviously ingest a certain amount of calories to make up for it in order for my body to physically be able to perform at the level that it can and not go into a deficit. And unfortunately, that means that is a lot of carbs and a lot of protein. And there are days, and sometimes many of them, where I don't feel like wanting to stuff my face with that. And let me tell you something. I have also struggled with an eating disorder. I started when I was in high school, and we will talk about that on another episode because I am actually working towards wanting to talk about that. So I know what it's like to feel like you don't want to have anything to do with food. You don't want to have a relationship with food and you want to disassociate from food. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about how when you are performing at a certain level, food intake becomes stressful. And that's also where a lot of the times bad habits with food and potential eating disorders or body dysmorphia or the gray area starts. So again, it's not, oh, you must be so lucky. No, I'm busting my ass off to get to where I am with my body and to be able to have a fast metabolism to eat what I need to eat. That's what I'm saying. Okay. But anyways, so that second mountain is, I just went on a tangent there and I had to stop for a second and realize what I was needing to actually say. But what I was at was I was telling my PT about how I'm excited to work on my biomechanics. And that's kind of what you want to think of when you are coming down on that second mountain from a race. And if you aren't, right away going back into training again, and you aren't having something right away that you're looking forward to, that you're training towards again, is kind of looking at that maintenance phase, is what we call it. And the maintenance phase is where you look at your body and see what needs to improve. And this isn't about PR though. Okay. This isn't about PR. This isn't about your stamina, your endurance, your pacing. It has nothing to do with the physical aspect of running. It has all about everything else around that allows you to be that endurance athlete, that runner, to the ability that you want it to be. So think about biomechanics, think about that maintenance phase. Think about the nutrition factor. Think about the idea of working on maybe some agility and flexibility and mobility. That is where you will then not only recover better, but come back as a stronger and better athlete physically and mentally. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to be able to have PT sessions where I'm not hyper focused on, I need to just have my body right so I can run this next race. I just really need to have it right. I don't want to think about anything else. Just please make sure that I'm in line and that I can run this race. That's going to be the least thing I'm going to think about. It's going to be me going in there and working for 1 hour with her on my hips, my glutes, my core, and getting back in alignment. You know what I mean? And I'm super pumped for that. So that to me is where you want to kind of capitalize on your second mountain, is that purpose, but how you can reroute to look at the wheel, the larger perspective for that main goal, that main love, which is running. Another thing that I thought of too is your process of how you sleep. That could be something you could work on, and how you could start to train yourself to go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time that will benefit you for your future endurance or running self. I don't know when everybody likes to wake up and go to bed. Obviously, we're all different, but maybe you notice that through this training block that it was quite difficult to achieve your specific training loads because of the time of day, whether it was because of work, family stress related, or because of your energy levels. So maybe thinking about how you could rework your sleep to benefit you for your next, training block, as if you want to call it that. That doesn't mean that you're starting to reroute your sleep and then you get up and now you're starting to train and go heavy again. It's mainly figuring out the right sleep schedule for yourself and how that would work and correlate. So that would be, if you wanted to wake up earlier to get your run in, then start waking up early. And yeah, you'll have that time block in between, but it's almost like, okay, you're going to wake up early and maybe you do something in between that. You can go for a workout, go for a walk or something. You're not going to do hard, heavy, running training, but you're getting your body conditioned to understand that when you do start training again, that this is the schedule it's going to be on. You know me, it would not be a segment without offering a little homework or a little tip and trick to try to get you in that mindset. And what we're going to do, it's just a challenge, whatever you want to call it, this week. Don't take forever, but define what you want. And let's say 3 to 5 things, maybe 3 things. 5 things is a lot, but maybe 3 things that you would want to focus on when you're not in your core run endurance training. What are the 3 things you want to focus on? Again, just as a reminder, this is the second mountain. So this isn't the first mountain. This isn't the climb up. So we're not thinking about the training load. We're not thinking about the mileage. We're not thinking about the PR, the stamina, the endurance. We're thinking about the biomechanics. We're thinking about the maintenance. We're thinking a little bit about the recovery. We're thinking about tune up, how we can get our body right through other modalities. We're thinking about maybe nutrition, working on how we can better fuel ourselves. We're thinking about sleep and getting into a better sleep pattern for when you start to train again. You're not thinking about the physical aspect of the running movement. Okay, break. Since we talked about in the last topic about running without a GPS, I kind of wanted to circle back around to that because in 2026, I mean, someone halfway across the world could figure out where you are and where you're running and where your running routes are. And I mean, there's the peaks and the valleys when it comes to this. I have only been on Strava within the past 6 months because Fabletics Miami Run Club, we wanted to have a group for each of the run clubs. And I have the Miami Run Club here. So we have that on Strava, which is why I joined. I never got onto Strava just because it seemed like the same thing that I use with my Apple Watch with the fitness app, and it gives me everything that I need. Actually, I see the differences, and I'm not going to say that one is better than the other. I think they each offer me something that I'm looking for, but it's the idea of being reliant on GPS and on the tech itself to tell you how you're doing on the run, to tell you your pace, to tell you your heart rate, to tell you your cadence, aka stride, your mileage, etc. And it's funny because when I was recently in a seminar, we were talking about how if you are really in tune with your body and you've been running and you've been training, you should know without having to look at your watch what pace you're at or what mileage you're at just by how you're running and being in tune to your body. And I think that is such a benefit to have, especially if you are eventually doing training for race training and things like that, is to understand that you don't need to rely on the technology all the time to know where you're at with your run. I get it. It's really great. If it's telling you if you're in zone 2 or not, and it's telling your heart rate, and that's how you want to be able to dictate whether or not you're in your lactic threshold phase, or if you're at your aerobic phase with like an easy pace. I totally understand that. And again, I'm not knocking technology. It's the best thing out there. But at the same time, just like anything, like Google Maps, we've become reliant on Google Maps to show us around, but do you really know your way around the place that you live? And for me, I always make it a point. I will say this, I'm going to toot my own horn. Anytime I move somewhere, I will refuse to use Google Maps for certain things just to drive around and figure it out. You know what I mean? I understand if you're going somewhere that you've never been and you want to be prompt or whatever, I get it using Google Maps, or if you're going on a road trip, yes. But I'm talking about the unnecessary, just finger to the phone, putting Google Maps on to go to your local grocery store or wherever it be, and you know where it is. It's just that idea of like having to have it on. Same thing with the GPS. I truly, this is wild, but I ended up using a GPS, but I accidentally forgot my Apple Watch when I went to Denmark, actually last April. So around this time, I left it at my hair guy's studio. I got a haircut and I was flying out the next day, got a haircut that night, and I left it there and he had already left because it was an evening cut. And I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. Like at this point, I'm going to Denmark to see lifelong friends. I'm not going to be a brat about it. But I will say it took me a moment to process and realize that, because especially when I go on vacation, and especially, in one of my, like literally, I want to die in Copenhagen. Like I love Denmark. Denmark is my favorite country. Copenhagen is my favorite city in the world. We can talk about that on another day, but I was going to be running around Copenhagen. Obviously, I used my phone so I could track, mileage or whatever. But it was the idea of not having the watch and how much I felt unsteady, how I felt like there was a part of me not there. But then also, too, if it doesn't track, it never happened. So then how am I going to brag about the places that I ran or the mileage that I ran or this that I did? How am I going to be able to do that? How am I going to be able to share on Instagram, on my stories, or on my feed that I did this and I did that? And then it's just this overwhelming sensation of, why does my GPS on my watch own me that much, to where I feel like it's a need to be able to share every single piece of data for every single run? Not going to lie, when I see people post their runs, some of them I like, some of them I'm like, okay, whatever, but I am not sitting there dissecting people's races or sitting there dissecting people's mileage or their pace or their cadence or whatever it may be. And I am also very, very aware and self-aware on my end that when I'm posting all my different runs, I know that y'all don't care. I know that y'all don't care about certain ones. Maybe if there's some that I'm talking about something, there's a purpose behind it and there's copy behind it, then sure. But I don't think that you guys are all sitting there waiting, being like, Jess hasn't posted her run today. She must not be running. She must not have done it. No, you guys have a life. You don't give a shit. So it's just funny how you think that way. And when I first started running, i.e., 2008, we had, what are they? Digital watches where, the analog or digital, where you had a stop and start watch, and that's kind of it. I don't even think I was tracking my mileage. I think I just knew it by knowing the route around town and stuff, especially like with Alabama. I knew that where I lived, and by running past Old Row, past the stadium, because I literally lived next door to the stadium and sorority row. And then that's also where the main strip is of university, and then Old Row as in Old Row fraternities. So I knew that if I ran down and up University Boulevard to where the recreation center was, behind the recreation center, where that's where like student housing was, all the way down and down to where like Moe's is, which would be called like downtown, up back University and back. That's about a 5 to 6 mile loop. And that's what I liked to do after class in the evening. I would do my 5 or 6 mile loop. And then if I were to go farther, I knew when I was going, it would be like more up University and then kind of cutting down like almost where like the hospital was and stuff. Or I would go back more where the house, like where people would live on the streets behind me. No one's asking for this. Sorry. Whoa. All I'm saying is, but look at this. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is how we would talk about our runs, and also too, not for nothing, people didn't know our routes. Now, yes, there was one route that I routinely did just because it was really quick and easy if I needed to get a quick run in. But other than that, no one knew your routes unless someone sadly was stalking you, where today everyone knows your routes. Everyone knows your GPS. Everyone knows where you are. And there's a benefit to that. Yes, safety purposes, share your location 100%, share your route with your family and friends. But like, it's really crazy how you can't create a route on Strava. And if you want to keep it private, and if I share it with somebody, they can't see it. They can't see it unless I make it public. Why? If I make a private route and I'm grabbing that link and sharing it, just like how you would do that with like a Google Drive or something, or like a WeTransfer link, why can't I share that with somebody and it still be private? What if I wanted to have a route that was for me and a couple of my girlfriends, but I didn't want it to be advertised to the world? I can't share that route. And if I give them the link and they open it, it's not available. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And I know there has been a lot of security issues and chatter with Strava and Runna and all these other apps. It's not just Strava. I mean, even Apple Fitness, it will show your routes and things like that. But the only difference is on Apple Fitness, I don't know if it's public or not unless like you allow someone to follow you. It's different. But the newer apps, the newer platforms are definitely more on the lines of social and the social media aspect. You follow each other. So if you follow each other, you can see your data. Yes, there is an option to keep things private. So you can have a private account. I believe mine is where if you follow me, you can see my stuff. But if you don't, then you can't, which then I'm able to filter out if it's someone I want them to see what I'm doing or not. Now, when it comes to run club routes and things like that, relatively, I don't really mind about that because I think it's safe. And I think it's cool that you can look on Strava and there's a ton of different routes that people have built out that are for good ideas. Again, I think that's great. And then obviously being able to compete with the challenges and see your stats. And then when you see that there's a route and you see this person that's the number one on the route, and then you want to go and beat them on that route. I haven't done that yet. I've been seeing people do it. I watched a couple TikToks and I think it's amazing. And now I want to do it. But I was watching ones that were really petty and funny, like ones that were, I don't know, I'd have to find the video. I don't want to botch it, but it was really funny. So yeah, just having uh what's the word? Having that attachment physically and mentally to the GPS is something that this could be something that you could work on. And maybe this would be something that could be part of that second mountain. And that is to just go on runs without recording them. Now, I will say easier said than done. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to do it or not. I get it. But maybe you go dark. Maybe you record it for yourself, but you don't have it public. So once your workout's over, you go onto Strava and you immediately make it private. Something like that. Something to where the work's been done, because mentally I get it. If it's not recorded, it didn't happen. But having it to where it's not public and see how maybe it changes your perspective of going for a run. I will admit that when I know my pace and my stats are out in the public, I feel like I have to be performing all the time. And I think that also comes with the fact that this is my career and it is what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like if I'm not performing, then I'm not living up to who I am. And that's something that I'm working on. And that's something what I'm going to be doing in my second mountain phase. But yeah, see if you can just go for a run and not look at your watch. I did that the other week, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I went for a run. I ended up doing a half marathon. I didn't look at my watch. I didn't care about the pace. I had an idea of where I was at. And I know just because, again, I'm in tune with my body and I've been running for long enough to know what my paces are at. But it felt so good just to go and not feel like you're racing against the clock or trying to prove something. But to have your run be private, I think you might start to enjoy it more, because that's one thing with me is when I first started running, I ran to for mental and physical. I ran to enjoy it. I didn't run to be on the podium, or I didn't run to prove something to somebody else. I didn't run to constantly have to have a new PR. Now, did I do races? Yes. Did I win some? Yes. Did I lose some? Yes. But I wasn't gung ho on it. As I got older, that became more of a want and a need, because it became more of my life and more of what I did as a profession and what I've always loved to do. But yeah, just see. And maybe you'll be surprised that it kind of allows you just to enjoy the movement of running and getting lost in your head and listening to a good playlist instead of thinking about who's going to see your results, which then leads me to the comparison trap with running and your statistics. Because again, now it's all about social media and performance. And by performance, I mean showing your accolades. And I'm right there with y'all. You know what I mean? I love to share a good run. I also will share the ones that I'm like, not my best, but then I'll explain, if I'm on my luteal phase, things like that, and reasons behind why it's not my best, because there's always a reason. And that's okay. But it's the idea that you go on this run and everyone's at different paces, right? Everyone's wanting to work on something in their lives. And we are all not the same. That's normal. But you go for this amazing run and you think that you did your personal best when it came to running 12 miles, let's say, and you were proud of yourself. You had it to where maybe you did a negative split, or you were doing some progressive threshold, or that you were actually able to just run even, where you were at that consistent pace for the whole time and you didn't tap out, whatever it may be. So you're happy about your pace, you're happy about your results, you're happy about how the run went, your time, and you get on to share it, or you let it post on whatever app you use. And as you're doing that, you see another one that pops up from a girl you don't know, a guy you don't know, or someone you do. And it is a similar run and then they did better. It's going to make you feel like crap. It's going to make you feel like, well, why can't I do that? Or why am I not performing at that level? Or oh, I wish I could do that. How do I need to adjust my training? Why can't I train that way? And it then takes that runner's high and it becomes a downer. So all that dopamine, all that serotonin, all that oxygen towards the brain has now just completely went out the window. And now you're in dopey, woe is me. And it sucks. And I get that. And we've all been there and we've all done it. But one, I would say that's when you want a running coach. Hi, right here. Hit me up, the weekly warm up club, mentorship for women and men if you want it. And we will move and groove together and I will get you to where you want to be. But that's also where you need to take a second wind and just say, I am at the place that I need to be at right now. I did what was my best. I am proud of myself. And either one day I hope to get there, or I am maybe even reach out and be like, how did you get that? How did you do that? What could any advice you could give me? Now I'm hoping that that person would be a genuine person and give you some advice. I will say the internet is a wild, wild west. I cannot tell you. I have reached out to some girls that I looked up to and either get complete radio silence, or they'll come back with some sort of ins and outs of ways of them trying to basically say to you that they don't want to tell you because they're trying to gatekeep it, or they just feel like they don't need to or have a need to tell you. It's beyond me. I know I am not a major public figure, or I know that I don't have a massive following where by me saying this, it really justifies anything. But I cannot tell you how much it gets my gears going when people reach out to me and ask me for advice or tips. It is the best thing in the entire world, because one, it goes to show that I am doing my job. And then two, it just goes to show that there's a person that trusts me and looks at me as a person that they want to hear from. They want to hear advice from. So to have someone ask and then you get back to them and make them feel less than or not even respond is beyond me. So if you're listening to this, you can always count on me. I promise you. I'm sorry if your message goes into the unknown box. That is out of my control. So I would say if you're trying to reach me, I always have my email somewhere as well. or like comment on a post or a story or something if I don't get back to you, because it makes me so sad when I go into the unknown once in a while. And then it's really weird where they'll be. So like I'll like to go in my unknown at least a couple times a week, sometimes every day, just because of that reason. And sometimes they're so hidden to where it's like, this person reached out to me weeks ago. And then you respond to them and you say that, and it sounds so shallow. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's in my unknown box. But truthfully, it was. And you're just like, I'm so sorry. Here I am now. So just if that does happen, I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is just like we compare ourselves to so many other things, don't compare yourself to another person's training load, because we're all at different spaces in life and we're all at different paces. And trust me, you can get there with the right person helping you out. You know what time it is. It is that time where I pull out my handy dandy cellular device and talk about something that I have found on the World Wide Web this week. And there are a couple. So I'm going to really breeze through this. One that I found is about candy. I love candy. I am more of a pastries and cakes gal, but I will say I will go down a candy route, and I'm more towards the sour candy, or nerd clusters or whatever. But independent lab testing found dangerous levels of arsenic in 28 of the most popular candy brands. So instead of, well, you know me, I'm going to share this in the stories, but I'm going to just quickly go down. And right now we're at Black Forest Gummy. We're at Laffy Taffy, banana and cherry, Nerds, grape and strawberry, Nerds gummy clusters. Damn. Sweet Tarts Originals, Sweet Tarts Ropes, the Trolley Sour Bite Crawlers, Hershey's Milk Chocolate, Hershey's Cookies and Cream, Jolly Rancher Hard Candy, the Sour Apple and the Strawberry, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Whoppers, Twizzlers, Strawberry, Cherry, Watermelon, and Kit Kat. And then there's a second page. So I'll obviously share this when it comes out, but that is just terrifying. And the comment says, the Florida Department of Health released independent lab testing results under its Healthy Florida First initiative, reporting detectable arsenic levels in 28 of the 46 tested candy products across major brands. Some samples reached concentrations as high as 570 parts per billion, with exposure estimates suggesting very low thresholds for regular consumption. The testing was conducted by a certified lab and is part of a broader state effort to evaluate containment in commonly consumed foods, including products widely marked and consumed at scale. Listen, I understand that there's shit in everything these days, but I would probably take this a little bit more seriously. I'm not going to lie, I don't go to the candy aisle anymore, and it doesn't have to do with this article. I just stopped doing it because of how I felt. I always feel like I wake up hungover. I know that there's a lot of dyes and things in these items that are not normal and healthy for you. I also find that that's when I break out and things like that. Yeah, I just find that articles like this, it's just scary because you know it's true. Okay, there are no boundaries in this country anymore. All right, last but not least, I saw this last night and I saved it, and I thought it was wild because it also had to do with topics that I spoke about today. So I figured it had to be shared. According to neuroscience, achieving your biggest goal will cause your deepest depression, and your brain is designed to do this to you on purpose. You spent years chasing your biggest goal. You finally achieved it and then felt completely empty. Neuroscience says that it is not a failure of gratitude or ambition. It is exactly how your brain was designed to work. Here is the mechanism nobody talks about. Dopamine is not a reward chemical. It is an anticipation chemical. Your brain releases the most dopamine while pursuing a goal, not achieving it. The closer you get, the higher it rises. The moment you arrive, it drops. Sound familiar? Right? The achievement becomes your new baseline almost immediately. Psychologists call this hedonic. There's always a word. Hedonic adaptation. Your brain normalizes extraordinary success and resets your emotional baseline within weeks. The promotion, the body, the business milestone, all treated as ordinary faster than you ever expected, which I can see. And that makes complete sense. That's why we always talk about always wanting more or saying, I'll be happy once I get this. And then once you get that, you're not happy. And then you want more and more and more, similar to what we were just talking about as far as, coming up the mountain and then going up the first mountain, then coming down the second mountain. And then obviously too, with comparing ourselves with our paces and our mileage, it's all relative. This is why Olympic athletes report depression after winning gold, why entrepreneurs feel lost after the exit, why arriving never feels the way years of anticipation promised it would. Yeah. And also too, it's because you're like I've talked about too, like being in that fight or flight or being in that tunnel vision. You're so focused on the goal and where you want to go that you're not even thinking about what's going to happen when you get there and how that's going to feel and then what's next. Yeah, wild. Psychology calls it the arrival fallacy, the belief that reaching a major milestone will permanently deliver fulfillment. The brain was never built for permanent satisfaction. It was built for meaningful pursuit. The most fulfilled people are not the ones who achieve the most. They're the ones who never stop pursuing something meaningful. Stop chasing the destination, design a life built around the pursuit. Well, let's all pour ourselves a cup of that. I am here for it. Again, I will share this, but yeah, I got to end it on that one because beautiful. And what a way to wrap up everything in a gorgeous bow for this episode. I am very proud of how this one went. I will say that. I mean, talk about full circle, motivational, honest, raw. We love it. A little educational. We didn't laugh a ton. That's fine, but I am here for it. Let's get into products I'm digging this week. Products I'm digging this week, I'm going to go ahead and do it now because I've already talked about it at the beginning of the episode, is this new, I got to take out my headpiece, Fabletics set. Here we go. These are track pants, if you want to call them that, but they're very soft. I love them. And I like that they're also, I don't know if it's tailored or whatever you call, but yeah, pockets, very nice and cozy. And then the bomber jacket to go with it with the nice zip up. You can flip up if you want and have it more of that bomber look. And then this is just a nice basic white tee to go with it. Again, Fabletics, the recent Chloe drop is fuego. I got a size small in everything. And yeah, go check it out. It's under the new arrivals or the Chloe drop, but I'm obsessed. It's so freaking comfortable as well. Moving on. Biodance sent me some of their new drop they did. It is their caviar PDN jelly serum mist and their collagen peptide jelly serum mist. Not only am I absolutely obsessed with the packaging, it just gives me Candyland. And I loved that game when I was a little girl, but they're really great. Very hydrating. I love how they come out as far as the mister goes. And yeah, 10 out of 10. I have a little makeup on right now, so I can't show y'all, but I have shared on my stories. I like it a lot. Everyday skincare right there. And then moving on to Uni. Uni just recently dropped scents. I feel like everybody's dropping a scent these days, and I love them. They are Rain Sunset. The Sunset smells like their 24-hour body serum. It's amazing. And then Rain smells like their body wash, which I also love. But these are really, really cute. And then they gave me a scent stone that you can spray a fragrance on and it can like linger. So I put it in my car. I'm going to see how it works. Sometimes I don't know about the stones, if they really work or not, but I figured if it's in my car, it's a not small area, but it's not like putting it in my house. I'll never smell it. Is that it? I felt like there was one more. There is. This baby right here. When I saw Nathan drop this running vest, I couldn't run faster to buy it because it is like skin. This right here is by far going to be my favorite running vest. I did get it in this yellowish green color. It does come in black and then a really pretty bone color. But it was all sold out and that was the one I wanted. So please, Nathan, restock in the smalls. And then I think there's like a pink color, but I would love to see a navy color and a hunter green as well. But it does come with 2 floppy flasks. I'll get them because I love that the floppy flasks actually they're small, which is great, but then they actually have the straw. So you're not having to worry about pulling out the floppy flask or pulling the floppy flask up to use or to get the water or liquid when you're using it. Now, for races, I am not the one to always use it. However, maybe I will now with that kind of technology, but I'm going to put it on really quickly. If you're watching, it's skin. That's the best part about it. I actually shared, I haven't shared the stories yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow, but I stuffed in so many gels. My phone will definitely go right here. I always like to put my key, just stuff it all the way down because you don't need it. But I cannot get over how this just feels like your skin. And then how lightweight it is. It's so breathable in the back because obviously your back is a heat spot. So you don't want to feel like you're claustrophobic or that it's heating you up. I mean, it's actual skin. And the zip up, now you don't have to worry about, the intertwining. Yeah, this is game over. They have officially set the bar for other brands. I cannot wait to run in this and test it out, which will be in a day. Obviously, I'm definitely going to be wearing this for my race this weekend. Let me go get the floppy flasks. So these are the 2 floppy flasks. They go in here and then it would just stick out. It's harder to put it in when it's on, but then it also has the strap to go around. So that way it doesn't move. And then this can go up right here like that. And then all you have to do is, no, I don't want to get makeup on it. And that's it. Obsessed. Love it. But yeah, if these 2 can fit in here with liquids, that's how many gels. It was crazy. I was filling this up as if I was running 100 miles just to show people. Obsessed. Love it. 10 out of 10. And we have just finished another episode of the weekly warm up. That's that.